things for people that have become comfortable with their fire. Like we think that if we go into these situations and we help these people, we do these things for them, that we can fix their problem, that we can correct them, that we can help. I need you to understand that there are some people that have become so comfortable in their demons and in their wounds that they've made home out of it and they unpacked there. And I get it, it's good to want to help and to love and to care, but at some point you're going to end up burning yourself trying to run into that place that they're comfortable in. And at the end of the day, no matter how much effort you put in, how much you say and what you do, you can't force a person to heal that is not ready to heal. You can't force a person to change that is not ready to change. You can't force a person to see gold in front of them. If they've associated that with all their pain in their past, they will stay in this burning building because it is the pain that they know and the demon that they know, and they don't want to confront the new one. So it's okay that they're staying there. It's not your job to force them out. As much as you can see beauty and goodness and everything that you can offer, it's not your job to finally make them see that it's okay to walk out of the building.
Surprise. Uh, I, it's a heavy video, and that kind of ruined it. So before we jump into the message this morning, I need you to know that this message, it collided with me this week, and I fought God over it. And not because I don't believe in what it was saying, but just because it made me have to have some realizations. It made me have to do some work on myself before I could come to you today and preach authentically. He gave me a word this week, and I fought him over it. And this isn't just a talk, it's a rescue mission, if you get that sense from the video. I'm going to be real with you. This week I felt like quitting. It was hard. There were moments where I wanted to throw my hands up and say, God, why am I still fighting? Why do I keep showing up when it feels like you've gone quiet? Why do I keep believing in things when they aren't changing? And maybe that's where you're at today. Maybe you're angry at God. Maybe you're barely holding on. Maybe your faith doesn't feel alive anymore. It feels like an empty word. You're exhausted from praying and waiting, trying to keep it all together. And if that's you, I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me clearly. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not alone. And I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to say that I'm in the burning building with you. That concept of the burning building is powerful. And this idea that we just surround ourselves with fire, and we just decide to be okay with it. The message is for the ones who still feel the smoke in their lungs this morning. The ones standing in the fire wondering if they're going to make it out. This message builds. The first half, it's going to be foundational faith. The second half, it's going to stretch you. It gets heavier, it gets harder, but it also gets holier. And maybe the second half of the message doesn't. And it was just because of where I was this week and the things I had to face that it's heavy on me. But it's heavy. And we're not just talking about beliefs today. We're talking about real, gritty, costly faith. The kind of faith that fights. The kind of faith that walks through fire. The kind of faith that gets in the game. So here's your invitation. I need you to not shut down this morning. I need you to not check out. I need you to not sit this one out. Because it's so easy when God is confronting the things that we're holding on to go, not right now. And the particular thing that I had to face this week was a tough conversation, a real conversation, and it went just fine. But it was a relationship that had just been strained. There'd just been tension in it. And we just put it all out there, and we're in a better place now. But it was years that neither side that we were having this conversation. And we've had that conversation, we've moved on. It's healing that I've been called to for years to address. And I've got up here and said, you need to reach out and repair the relationships while not doing it myself. And finally this week, God smacked me in the face with it, and we had to do it. So I need you to not check out, not shut down, not sit this one out. Let God meet you in the middle of the smoke this morning, because faith doesn't stay safe. Faith steps in. There's a cost to this. Faith breathes through the smoke, faith plays. So I'm going to take you right into our series. We're still in the series, Faith, the It Factor, where we're taking advertisements with the word it in it, and we're turning those on their head and seeing how they kind of apply to our faith. And it's a weird way to go about this. Pastor Mark brought that up last week. It's kind of a weird way to, you're like trying to pigeonhole a commercial to fit into it, but normally we go into the word and we go, okay, what is God leading me to? And This is a little bit different, but that's not to say that what we're going to talk about today isn't from God, isn't holy, isn't wholly true to our faith. So we're week 5, and today we're talking about a phrase you may know if you play video games, particularly if you've ever picked up Madden, FIFA, NBA, and it's EA Sports. So the younger people that play sports games are going to know this. EA Sports, it's in the game, right? That's the advertisement. And so if we can we play the commercial?
Sports. It's in the game. Rated RP to T.
In case you want to know what they were rated. Very first EA Sports game I ever played was FIFA 98. I know some of the people in this audience weren't even alive in 98. And these are the rare few times that I feel old. But FIFA 98, it also had a great song. Song 2 was the name of the song. It's a great name for a song. And it was the menu screen song. It was great. You could play other ones. EA Sports has always had that where you can flip through a playlist, but I always went back to that one. It just made me happy. So EA Sports, it's in the game. So what does that even mean? What does it mean to be in the game? Nebraska played this week in Kansas City. They won. Let's just get that out of the way. Go Big Red. I don't know, did Iowa win? Yeah. You don't look too happy about them winning. Yeah, all right. Quarterback still sinks. Yes. Our quarterback at Oklahoma threw an interception too. We looked really good playing Illinois State. Let's wait till SEC play, and we go. It's going to be terrible. But a lot of times when we talk about our sports team, we say we won the big game. We went out and we throw ourselves as a part of the team. That's not what it means to be in the game, all right? EA Sports, it's in the game, means everything you could experience watching, playing the sport is in the game. So right now, Saquon Barkley last year had this really crazy backwards jump over somebody. Like he did a backwards splits jump over the back of, over somebody's head while running. It's the most crazy thing I've ever seen a running back do. And they brought that into the game. Like you can use that move in Madden. It was also like a crazy motion capture that they did to do that. So literally means like if it's a strategy, if it's a play, if it's a position, the way you play that position, if it's a move, video games are really complex now. But if it exists in the sport, it is in the game. And that's what it's talking about. And so I want to ask you today, is your faith in the game? And that's the hard reality we're going to have today. I'm going to do the bad pastoral thing, and I'm going to have 4 points this morning, not 3. So I'm going to need you to keep up with me. I'm trying to keep it really light now because we're going to get deep later. So is your faith in the game? Because real faith isn't a background noise. It's not a belief you file away or a spiritual insurance policy. It's dirty. It's in the game. It's baked into all of our experience. It's not just talk. It's a part of the game. It's not something we wear as a label. Faith is active. It's engaged. It plays. So if your faith is real, then you don't just display it when you're at church or when things go well. It has to show up on the field, in the game, in the grit of your daily life. And so we're going to go to Hebrews chapter 11 if you're going to follow along in your Bible or on your phone. Hebrews chapter 11, also called the Hall of Faith. Now, if you've been paying attention to this series, in the very first week, Pastor Rodney brought up the Hall of Faith and talked about how they're not heroes. They're not just heroes of the Bible. And we're going to address that today. But we're going to go in the Hall of Faith, and we're going to talk about how faith is active and how it shows up in the game. So starting right in verse 1, and this is from King James. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. In the NIV, it says, now faith is confidence versus substance. And the writer then will start to begin to list men and women throughout history who have lived by faith. People that didn't just believe in God, but they acted on it. And so we're going to break down, like I said, 4 truths of that today. So the first one, faith is foundational. Verse 1 says, faith is the substance or the confidence of things hoped for. The word substance here literally means the foundation of everything that we build our faith upon. It's not just a hope or a feeling. It's a present conviction about future realities. It's talking about something solid, weighty, and real, something anchored. And we tend to use the word hope casually, right? We go, I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow. I hope my team wins. I hope this works out. But this kind of hope is wishful thinking based on chance, uncertainty, and oftentimes it's based off our mood. But biblical faith, which is what Hebrews 11:1 is describing, is a confidence with substance. It's standing on something we cannot see, but absolutely trust. Think of a bridge on a foggy day. You can't see the other side of that bridge. And maybe some of you are so terrified of bridges that you wouldn't cross it on a foggy day. But it's just that. It's a bridge on a foggy day. You can't see the other side, but you step across that bridge anyways because you've put trust in the engineer. Well, what I'm trying to get you to do today is put trust in the engineer of your life, God, and take a step into the foggy storm where you can't see the destination. You don't know what's on the other side. I need you to trust the structure. Faith is stepping forward not because you can see the future, but because you know who built the bridge. You know who laid the path before you. We can reframe it this way, and this is one of my favorite things to do, is to adjust our thinking patterns. We can go, it's not, I hope God shows up, it's, I trust that he's already here. It's not, I feel like this might work out, to, it's confident in the one who is working it out. It's not faith makes me feel better, it's faith holds me together when nothing else can. Because what do we lean on when things are going wrong? I hope it's our faith. I hope we're leaning into it. Verse 3 here says, by faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. And that's powerful. Faith starts at the very beginning. It's the basis of creation, and it's the basis of our walk with God. So imagine your favorite football player walks onto the field. But before they do that, before the season starts, they step into training camp. Why? There's generally not a lot of fans. There's some fans go to training camp, but it's not like stepping up into a game. There's no game. The competition really is against yourself and anybody else on the depth chart. There's no trophies, but they train anyways. And why? Because they believe in the outcome that hasn't happened yet. Some people might step onto their team and go, well, we have no hope of making it to the big game, so why even try? Those players don't stay on their teams very long. So imagine walking into your faith and going, well, I'm not going to act because it's not going to work out anyways. I'm not going to win. I'm not going to achieve victory. I have faith, but I just don't believe that that's possible. That's the way we have to frame it. Our faith has to believe in the impossible. It has to believe that the things we cannot see are in our best interest and that God's just got it. He built that bridge. We're on firm foundation and we just move forward. Like the player that trains before the season starts, we need to continue to push forward in our faith without knowing the ultimate outcome because we know the victory that lays before us already. We can put our trust into that. That's what faith does. It builds before the rain like Noah. It walks before the destination like Abraham. It obeys before the miracle like Moses. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is foundational living. Faith is foundational. Second, faith is active. It's not just something you have. It's something you do. Oftentimes we say, I have faith. Cool. File that in your back pocket. Do with it what you may. It's really weird saying, but to say I do faith means I go out and I'm not just holding that to myself. I'm active in my faith. It's not just something we have, it's something we do. Because if we go to the action words in Hebrews 11, it's by faith Abel offered, by faith Enoch walked, by faith Noah built, by faith Rahab welcomed. These people weren't commended for sitting back and believing quietly. They took risks, they acted, they obeyed. Their faith moved. They didn't just sit back on their hands and go, well, God's got it. It's going to happen. I believe. God told me. It's like, no. God told you and asked you to participate in the process and move. One of the first lessons that I gave to the youth group touched on this very, very topic, in that our faith has to continue to move. It has to push and move forward. It has to act. It's not just sitting back and waiting for it to happen. We have to go and do, because God has asked us to partner with him in the restoration of the world. It's not our responsibility to lead the lost home, but we do partner with God, who does make the moves. We do the introductions, and then we nurture, and we hold close, and we pray with, and we shout victory with our fellow brothers and sisters. Because could you imagine if you went through a great triumphant moment in your life, you're throwing your hands up in victory, and no one celebrated with you? Or you're in the depths of your despair, broken, don't know how to move forward, and no one wept with you. That's what we're called to do here. Come alongside each other. Come alongside God and move. It's something we do. It's not just something we have. So you say you're a follower of Jesus, but does your life show it? If someone looked at the way you speak, you serve, you give, how you treat people, how you forgive, would they see that your faith is in the game? Here's the truth. Faith that doesn't move you doesn't shape you. Your faith has to move you. And this isn't an emotional stirring in your heart. This is, I can't help but do this thing and step out on this ledge and reach out to this person and turn around and just pay for this person's coffee that's having a rough week. I can't do the big things. I can't do the small things. I can't help but do those things because that's what my God would do. It's not, oh, God is so great. Things are wonderful. It's not this emotion in your heart. It is the physical actions that you're doing. Faith moves you physically in your life. And if it's not moving you, it can't shape you. It's like buying a gym membership. You get the key tag. You walk by the gym every day and you go, I go to that gym, but you've never stepped foot inside it. You're not going to reap the benefits of that gym membership because you're not participating and actively moving in the gym. Your faith is the exact same way. Your faith can be dead and you don't know it. I have faith. I believe in God. Cool. Is it moving you? Well, no. All right. Well, it should be, right? You have to actually work out. You can't just walk past it, know it's there, and believe that it could change your health, your strength, your endurance, but you're not participating. If you never go in, you never move. It will never affect your routine. It will never change you. And some people treat their faith the same way. They carry the labels. They know the stories. They can quote the verses. Can I tell you that the greatest of atheists can quote the verses better than a lot of us can? It's not just knowing the verses. It's not just knowing the stories. The accounts of what God did. It's about moving. You have to pray through the hard decisions. You have to forgive the people that hurt you. You have to obey even when it's uncomfortable. You have to serve even if it costs you something. Faith in theory, but not in practice. It can't be how we live. If your faith doesn't move you, it can't shape you. Because here's the hard truth. And a lot of people they say, I go to church. I believe. Transformation can't happen from proximity. Merely showing up, hearing the stories, letting you go in one ear out the other, not letting it stir in your heart, won't transform you. Transformation doesn't happen just from proximity. It happens from participation. So it is important to note that the faith heroes were not perfect. No, we know him because he built the ark. He was also a drunk and cursed his grandson. Abraham, father of nations, lied, doubted, and had a child with somebody he shouldn't have. Sarah believed God's promise, but also laughed in disbelief. Moses led the people out of Israel, or let Israel out of Egypt, but killed a man and doubted his own calling, and ultimately wasn't led into the promised land. Rahab protected the spies, but she was a prostitute. Gideon delivered Israel, but needed repeated signs from God. Samson had great strength, but he was impulsive and morally reckless. David killed Goliath, led Israel, but also committed adultery and murder. These were real people. They were messy. They were broken. But God doesn't need your perfection. He needs your participation. Faith doesn't require being flawless. It requires you to be willing. So I'm saying today, if you're waiting for you to get your life together before you can step out in faith, you're going to be waiting forever. Faith doesn't wait, it walks. Again, God doesn't need us to be perfect. He just wants us to participate. He doesn't need us to be flawless. He just wants us to be willing to take the step. And here's where we transition to some of the heavier stuff. And this is probably one of the hardest things because it's not the rosy part of our faith. And it is, faith takes hits but keeps going. Hebrews 11:35 through 38 reminds us that not every hero of faith experienced miracles or happy endings. Some were tortured, some were in prison, some were beaten and mocked. Others were stoned, some were sawn in two. It says they were put to death by sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, destitute, persecuted, and mistreated. The world was not worthy of them. And it's hard because we'll happily put Noah's Ark on a mug, but we won't put everything that they went through afterwards on mugs and bumper stickers. This is the part of the story that we tend to skip over in Hebrews 11. We read the first part, we're like, look how great they were. Well, it's like, well, look at what it cost them in the second half. We don't acknowledge that. We skip over it. But here they are in the hall of faith. Because here's a hard truth. Faith isn't always glamorous. Sometimes faith doesn't look like the parting of the sea. It looks like holding on to something in the storm. Sometimes it isn't Goliath falling. It's showing up to fight when you feel outmatched, outnumbered, and unseen. Sometimes faith isn't about the win. And I need you to hear that clearly. Sometimes faith isn't about the win. Sometimes faith isn't about the prayer answered the way that you wanted answered. Sometimes faith is all about the endurance to keep pushing on when things don't go the way you wanted. To keep pushing on when life gets hard, when it repeatedly smacks you in the face. And there's a handful of folks in our church that we can look at and go, life has smacked these folks in the face, but they keep pushing on. Because it's not about the victory, it's about the endurance. And maybe that's you right now. You're holding on for healing that hasn't come. You're praying prayers that haven't been answered yet. You're forgiving someone daily and still feel the pain. You walk in obedience, but you feel alone, uncelebrated, and maybe unseen. Can I tell you today that if that is you, you're not out of the game. You're not out of the game. Being in a valley, Pastor Mark, perfect prayer this morning. Being in the valley doesn't mean you're out of the game. It doesn't. In fact, you might be in the most important season of your faith yet. If we go to James, right at the beginning of the book of James, James says it's through our trials that we grow. You could be in a massive growth period right now, a period where your endurance, your faith is going to be stronger than ever. You're going to overcome. You're not out of the game. You may be in your most important season yet. You can be limping in faith and still be fighting in faith. You can be wounded and still winning in the eyes of heaven. You can be tired and still treasured by God. You can be worn down and still walk in obedience. The world might look at your story and call it weakness, but the scripture says the world was not worthy of them. These great heroes of the Bible, not perfect folks, the world was not worthy of them. You, on your story, what you're doing for God's kingdom, the world may not be worthy of you, but we still push forward, we still walk in obedience, even when we're down. Because it's not about a comfort level. Faith is not about being comfortable. Often when we find ourselves comfortable in our faith, it's because we're stagnant. It's not about being comfortable, it's about being committed. It's about saying, even if I don't see it, I'll serve. Even if I don't feel it, I'll still follow. Even when I don't understand, I'll still trust. So no matter what you're facing right now, hear this. Your pain doesn't disqualify your faith. It may be proof of it. Your struggle isn't failure, it's evidence that you're still in the fight. And God is still with you right in the middle of it. I may not go as long as I thought today. I am sticking close to my notes, though, so that I don't. So the last little piece here. Faith looks forward. Hebrews 11:39 says, they were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised. I'm going to pause and let that settle in. They were all commended, but none of them received what they were promised. These are people who gave everything to God. They trusted him. They followed him. They obeyed in the face of uncertainty, risk, and pain, and yet they didn't get their full reward in their lifetime. Why? Because their faith wasn't anchored to outcomes. How often have you said, God, if you would just do this, I would do that? You get into negotiations with God. God, if you could just take this away, I will happily do that. God, if you could provide me with more, I'll happily give more. I know you've been calling me to take that leap of faith, but if you give me more, I'll give you more, right? Like it's a give and take. And we start to barter with God. And we start to anchor our faith and how much we're willing to step out and risk to an outcome. These great heroes of the Bible, this hall of faith, their faith wasn't anchored to outcomes. It was anchored to God. They lived for something bigger than what they could see. They weren't driven by comfort or applause. They weren't clinging to temporary victories or surface level blessings. They had their lives locked on eternity. They knew that faith isn't transactional. And sometimes we treat our faith just like that. Oh God, if you could. And we start this transaction with God. What we fail to realize is that faith is transformational. It's not, I'll believe if God gives me what I want. It's, I'll believe because who he is, who he says he is, whether I see the full result in my life or not. And that's a hard truth because it's not the rosy, like if you pray hard enough, you'll get it. Well, some people walk through a valley their entire life, but still see the victory of Jesus when they pass on. And that's a hard truth. I don't have the answers for why that happens. God does, but there's some people that walk through a valley their entire life and still have a greater impact for the kingdom than those that have never faced hardship. Our faith isn't transactional, it's transformational. Faith is walking forward when you only have the next step, not the whole map. And that's the hardest part, especially if you're a planner. It's the hardest part, right? Because you just see the next step, and maybe you only see the current step just before you take it. And it's hard to walk through life that way. But faith, true faith, is walking forward when you only have the next step, not the whole map. It's Abraham leaving his home country with no clear destination. It's Moses wandering in the desert with the stiff-necked people. He complaining the whole time, him complaining as well, ultimately led to Moses not going to the promised land. It's David anointed as the king and then spending years hiding in caves because people wanted to kill him. It's Sarah believing for a child long after biology said it was possible. It's Rahab risking her life for a promise she couldn't verify. Faith lives now with heaven in view, which is a hard way to walk through life. To go, I'm not going to see my victory until I pass on. But I'm still going to believe. I'm still going to walk in faith, doing in faith. It's living now with heaven in view. We don't play for the applause of this world. We play for the well done of heaven, which is a hard place to live. Human psychology says we need that validation, that external validation. Can I tell you that sometimes that validation comes internal from God? We're not playing for the we're not playing for the applause of the world, but the well done of heaven. Your reward isn't always now, but it is always certain. We have our covenant promise. We know what it means to have a relationship with God, and we know what the ultimate prize is. And it's not on this side of heaven. That reward isn't always right now, but it is certain. You may not see the full picture yet, but God is still painting. You may not feel the results, but your obedience is never wasted. Your sacrifice, your integrity, your trust in the unseen, it all matters. So we keep walking, we keep obeying, we keep trusting. Because one day, the scoreboard of heaven will reveal what earth never could. And the one who sees every quiet act of obedience, every uncelebrated sacrifice, every lonely step in trust, will look you in the eyes and say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." The scoreboard of heaven, that's what we're looking at. You don't need me. You don't need your partner, your children, your family, your friends to look at you and go, "You're doing a good job. I like the way you're walking in faith." Do we appreciate it? Yes, we don't minimize that. But that's not what we're playing for. That's not what we're in the game for. We're in the game for what the scoreboard in heaven will say. And our Father looking us in the eyes and saying, "Well done, good and faithful servant." So here's the question. Is your faith in the game? Not your knowledge, not your Sunday attendance, not your playlist in life, your faith. And where is God calling you to step out, to speak up, to serve, to sacrifice, to trust? And oftentimes we know the answer to where. We know the answer to where God wants us to move. If it's anything like what I experienced this week, I've known for years where God wanted me to move. It's not about where, it's all about what. And the what question is, what are you waiting for? If your faith is in the game and God is calling you to move, what are you waiting for? Faith wins when it plays. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present, obedient, and available. So I'll invite the worship team to come back up. We put the checkpoint slide up, which it felt like we just went through a checkpoint, but this is the real one. Is my faith visible in how I live? Do I respond in obedience when God prompts me? Do I choose trust over fear? Do I step in the game or stay on the sidelines? Lots of questions to ask ourselves. But it all comes down to, is our faith in the game? And our action step. Choose one area of our life, family, work, finances, forgiveness, serving, and take a step that reflects your faith. And more than just think about it, write it down. Let's commit to it. Let's get in the game. Because faith doesn't sit on the sidelines. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It moves, trusts, obeys, and fights. But here's the good news. You don't fight alone. You'll hear us say it often. It's not my job, my responsibility to change your heart. It's God's. I'm called to move. I'm called to act. I'm called to deliver God's word to you. But it's not my responsibility. The battle doesn't belong to me. This morning, I ran into the burning building to pull you out of what you're holding on to. But ultimately, it's God that's going to draw you out of there. The battle isn't yours, it's the Lord's. The weight isn't on your shoulders, it's on His. So wherever your faith is being tested this morning, wherever God is calling you to move, wherever you feel overwhelmed by the size of the challenge ahead, we can declare together that the battle belongs to the one who's already won. So let this be our prayer, let this be our anthem. In the song we're going to close with, it says, when I fight on my knees, or when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. So let's sing it like we believe it. Let's sing it like our faith's in the game. Let's sing it like our God is on the field already playing.